Okay everybody, so today I'm going to be making a video and we're going to have two clips running in the background here. One is of me killing Ecto on the live server, and one is of me killing Ecto on the testing server. This is using the exact same class with the exact same enhancement, minutes apart, that this was filmed within the same day, no changes between them in my build. And there's a pretty big difference in the times to kill here, and some of that can be chalked up to the fact that the actual damage output overall and the amount of effective HP that the bosses have has changed. That on testing servers, bosses have far more effective health because they are passively regenerating HP. If you do not know, on the testing server, both the player and all mobs all generate 1% of their maximum HP and mana every 4 seconds passively, just for existing. And this has been a pretty major change up. This is a huge change in the way the game actually plays, and I'll get into a little bit more detail why that matters a little bit later. But the short of it is that this boss now is going to be basically tripling the amount of HP he has over the course of the entire fight. And in addition to that, I am also doing far less damage on the testing server because they have nerfed you as the player character, making the impact that stats like intellect, luck, haste, all of these things actually have on your character, making you as the player weaker. As you can see on the testing server, once they get fully stacked, and that'll happen in a few minutes, I'm only going to be doing somewhere in the neighborhood of 8k on a maximum crit on my 5th ability before the DOT. Whereas on live servers, I'm going to be getting 14k crit maximum damage before the DOT on my 5th ability. And that's a huge damage gap. That's a massive difference in damage. And that damage gap is even larger when you consider the fact that on testing servers, damage multipliers and damage bonuses are multiplicative, not additive. So when you consider things like Archfiend Doom Knight, the enchanted weapons, Burning Blade, damage boost from abilities, these are all multiplicative in the damage formula now, not additive. Previously on the live server, and what is currently on the live server, these damage boosts are additive. Things like Archfiend Doom Knight is 25% each. It's plus 25, plus 25, plus 25. Damage boosts from enchanted weapons or Burning Blades are plus 25, plus 15. However, on the testing server, it's multiplicative. It's plus times 25 times 25. Lightcaster's boost is times 3 times 3 times 3, making these numbers grow out of control much faster and allowing you to get up to much crazier percentages of increase. In fact, my player right now on the testing server, this Lightcaster, has a 520% damage boost when fully stacked. You get a bunch of it because of your first ability, and then you get an extra 15% that multiplies into it from your third ability, and an extra 15% multiplied into it from the enchanted Phoenix Blade, making me do absolutely astronomical amounts of damage in comparison to base. However, as I've said, I'm still doing less damage on the testing server, because the damage nerf that you as a player have received is that big, that even with 520% extra damage dealing, I am still doing significantly less damage on the testing server than I would be on live server. And that shows, that hurts really bad, especially when trying to fight some of these big bosses, and makes many of the classes in this game completely useless. Classes that don't have big damage stacking, classes that don't have powerful DOTs, classes that previously were going to need to rely on these big burst damage numbers are simply not going to have them anymore. And that's unfortunate, and that really does hurt a lot of classes. That really is going to change around the way that the class hierarchy works out. Many classes previously are going to benefit a whole lot from this extra health regen and mana regen passively. Classes like Elemental Warrior and Protosartorium are going to benefit massively from this. That these were already relatively competent classes, but were kind of sitting at like C or D tier because they simply didn't have the kind of sustain to compete with many of the top level classes on their own. But now generating mana and health passively, these classes get far better. Protosartorium doesn't have a heal on its own, and it doesn't have any mana generation tools. Now that it has that passively through the game, this class becomes a much, much more potent PvP and soloing class. Similar explanation with Elemental Warrior. This class now gets far, far more powerful when you consider that its heal is very weak on Elemental Warrior, a very small heal over time. When you add in passive health regeneration and passive mana generation, which was a big concern for this class, that now gets far, far better. and it's going to flip the whole tier ranking of many of these classes completely on its head. I'm looking forward to these changes, honestly. It's something that makes me happy and is intriguing and interesting to look at these changes, to experiment with the math and the numbers and try out all the classes and look through everything and really get into the nitty-gritty. That's something that I enjoy. That's something that excites me. But I know that's not something for everybody, that not everybody feels that way. And for new players, for returning players, for casual players, this is a big nerf to the game. This is a huge nerf to the player, and this is a big buff to the world. That I have gotten several friends and people into the game, into AQW, because of my videos and my channel, and I don't want to see them struggle to kill Esteron or Flame Imps or Slagfist, because they suddenly got a huge buff, and because them using Oracle or them using Scarlet Sorceress simply can't output enough damage to kill that. And that's gotta suck, that a lower level player shouldn't have to ask me as a max level player to carry them through appropriately leveled content. That if they're doing the first 1 or 2 Chaos Lord sagas, they shouldn't need help as a level 20 and 25. That's what the level cap was at the time, and they're at an appropriate level to do that content. However, because the content got a huge buff in power, and because the player got a huge nerf in power, these players no longer can do that content. They simply are not powerful enough. They just die. They can't do it on their own. And that's a huge blow to the new and returning player and casual player community. Me as a veteran player and as a pretty hardcore player, it doesn't really affect me. That I have the classes that can handle it, I have the time necessary to work out the new math and figure out the numbers, that I'll hit new level cap and I'll be able to deal with it. But as of right now, these changes are honestly a huge detriment to the game. That I understand why these changes are put in place. These changes are here preemptively, in anticipation of raising the level cap. Once the level cap is raised to 80 or 85 or whatever it's going to be, then yes, I understand nerfing the player, because by the time players gain an extra 20 levels or so worth of stat increases from enhancements, they're going to destroy all of this content. That the difference between a level 40 character and a level 65 character is a huge difference in power. And by accounting for that and nerfing the player and buffing the world, you help us as max level players scale a little bit better to this content, and that's totally fine. But you also have to account for newer players and casual players who maybe aren't max level, who maybe only hover around 35, 40 right now, who maybe newer players who are just starting out, who only have like Oracle or Scarlet Sorceress to their name. Maybe they don't even have that much, and they have the starter classes. They're simply not going to be capable of beating many of these bosses and regular mobs in the game in the current state. And that feels really bad, and I feel kind of sorry for that. That's not something that I want to see happen. And at the end of the day, these changes I think are good for somebody like me, but are bad for the vast majority of the game. And that if they want to nerf the player, that's fine. But they need to have the new level cap come out first, and they also need to keep in mind and account for the fact that low-level players do still exist, and that new players do come into the game all the time, and that by making the game far more difficult, you are pushing them away, and that you cannot forget and leave them behind. So, as the fight wraps up here, many of you have noticed that the live server version killed the boss a long time ago, and the testing server is still trying to get the kill. And in fact, I don't get the kill on testing server, because the game randomly disconnected me from the servers and logged me out a few thousand health before the kill. So this is a weird situation on the testing servers, and while I think there's some good changes, there's also some bad changes and things that needed to be addressed. But as we come to a close here, I want to say thank you for everybody for watching. I hope you all have a great day, and as always, I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you everyone for watching today's video. If you guys liked the video, disliked the video, have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave those below. If you guys enjoyed this content and want to see anything else from me, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to click the social media links down below, this is a good way to get a hold of me. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you all next time.